It's live at Mio's. What? Yeah. Okay. Stop it. All right. My name is Aiden.
And I'm Jack.
And this is the show. For those of you who don't know what our show is, and that probably is a lot of you, we're a podcast, and we talk about working in the food and all that uncovers.
Yeah, so we talk about all the crazy experiences that happen, whether you're serving or bartending or working in a kitchen, there's always some gossip happening, so.
Oh, yes, most definitely.
That's all we talk about.
Yeah, so we have two awesome guests for today. Whoa. We have Peter and Peyton. Yeah.
So if you guys will just introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about what you've done, where you've worked, or if you don't want to say the name, you don't have to.
Yeah, my name is Peyton. I first job was actually at Mio's in the kitchen, making pizzas, washing dishes, and then moved on to a golf course, front desk in the pro shop, and then was a server and a bartender at Anderson Tap House for about 2 years. So
nice.
And my name is Peter, and I worked at Bay Point Marina and Resort in Marblehead for a few years, and then I moved on to work at Buffalo Wild Wings, the close one on Calhoun, and I served there.
So, with bartending, that's always a lot to balance. Do you guys have any crazy stories of just hectic days, shit shows, whatever?
First one that comes to mind, I had a guy that came in with his mom and his other brother, and he immediately was separate from them, told me that he was on their tab. So I just started serving him drinks, thought it was normal, put them all on one tab. Come to find out it was not his mom or his brother. He said that, and I fell for it. He was already drunk. And then right after his second shot of Woodford, he threw up all over the bar.
Oh.
That is horrible.
That
is
awful.
terrible.
So one time we were at Buffalo Wild Wings, obviously I was working, and this guy comes up to me, he's like, "You mind if I grab a table?" I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." And I was serving this guy for another hour or so, and he was already super drunk, but I didn't know that at all. And the bartender had to come up to me and be like, "I stopped serving this guy drinks hours ago. He's got to go." So that was honestly one of my funniest experiences.
Yeah.
So far.
So both of you have served, right?
Yeah.
Has there been any crazy stories with that?
No, I wouldn't say too crazy, but it's just sort of, you get some people that just aren't considerate, I'd say, don't really understand that if a food item is messed up, that I wasn't back there cooking it, and then they'll
always blame it on the kitchen.
Get mad at us, and then it'll affect the tip and whatnot. But I wouldn't say anything crazy, just more people being inconsiderate.
Yeah, going off of that, kind of server stuff, when you're really, really swamped, you're going back to the kitchen, stuff like that, and then the worst is when someone grabs you and they're like, "Oh, I need this right now. I need this right now. I need this right now." And then you got those needy tables. And then, it just honestly just kills your tip at the end of the day. But other than that, working at the Calhoun one, you get a lot of characters, honestly.
I hear you.
It's awesome. I love the people that work there. Love my coworkers, but
is it more college students or?
It's all college students, honestly, for the servers and the bartenders. Maybe a little bit older for the bartenders, but
yeah.
It's honestly a great time. Have you ever been to the one on Calhoun?
I don't think I've been to the one on Calhoun. I've been to a Buffalo Wild Wings for sure, definitely.
This one's very different. I will say, the clientele you got there, there's always someone there. What is what would you say is the most outlandish, most ridiculous person you've been you are not real, you do not exist?
Honestly, I didn't really get to experience it firsthand, but someone came out to me and they were like, "Don't go to the bathroom." I was like, "Oh, why?" And it's the bathroom's just thrown up everywhere, disgusting.
Lots of thrown up.
But honestly, it was fine. The next day, honestly, people took care of it, cleaned it up. It wasn't that bad, but
yeah,
that's pretty gross.
There's always characters anywhere. I feel there's the regulars and the Karens and whoever. But do you guys have any regulars in your jobs who come in?
Yeah, I had a bunch of regulars at a tap house where I used to work. And honestly, regulars were the best people to serve, best people to take care of. They were considerate of you. They were just patient. Anything that you needed, always tipped well, honestly. There was people that came in at my old job. I used to work Monday through Friday, 10 to 4. And there was a father and his son that would come in probably around 2:30 every single day. get 4 McUltras, put it on one tab, and then tip whatever the bill was that day. So it was very
That's
nice.
Yeah,
An occasional pretzel bite for him.
Oh, I hear you. I used to have some regulars who would come in, and every single time they came in, we had to change the type of cloth that we had on a table because you couldn't have white cloth. They needed the black linens. So anytime they had a reservation, we would all just be running around trying to get their table ready. And as soon as they come in, they wouldn't even say anything about it. They'd just be like, yes, like our table's different from everybody else's. But they wouldn't even tip well. It was just the people who'd been there for a while, you know?
Yeah, one thing I would say about regulars is they are honestly, like Peyton said, like they're just the best type of people.
Mhm.
And the best part about them, in my opinion, is just the fact that you could build relationships on it.
Yeah.
And like they keep on coming in. Excuse me. They keep on coming in every day for like once a week, the same time, basically the same group of whatever, like nice people, and it's just honestly amazing. And you could just build on that every single week.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get that. I worked at like 2, like, I mean, they were like, you know, big corporate stores or restaurants.
Yeah.
But my regulars were Mr. Hollywood, he was this guy, I've talked about him before. Purple velvet, like full suit. I'd be like, Mr. Hollywood. He'd be like, that's my name every time. And it was the greatest thing ever. Another guy who would try to like barter with like almanacs. Like I worked at a drive-thru for a little bit, and I give a guy food, and he'd be like, here's a sports almanac. And I'm like, why? I don't need this.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. I've had people come in, and instead of giving me a tip in cash, I would be working my butt off, chatting it up with them, saying things I'd never say, just, doing what any person in customer service does. And they'd tip me, and they'd give me like a Jesus card or like, anything else. They just give it to us. But they just tip me with like the weirdest stuff. Like they give me advice or something, and I'm like, okay, great. That's not a $5 bill.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Now, have you guys had, especially working in like Cincinnati, especially Clifton, have you guys had customers where you're like, you are like, again, like insane, like this is not, like just like so ridiculous, especially at a
Maybe
bar,
really,
like
really
someone
drunk.
had too much, someone.
So this one time I was actually I was serving, and I was training this new server. It was a brand new like freshman girl basically. And like it was her very first table, like going up with me, like I was training her to become a server.
That's always scary.
Yeah. And we had this lady, right? And I was like, hello, my name is Peter. I'll be your server tonight. I won't say her name, but I introduced my person I was training, and the person that I was serving immediately was like, you guys have to stop hovering our table. I'm not even kidding. I was already like socially distanced away from our table. And then she was like, I don't want 2 of you. I want 1 of you. And I was like, I'm so sorry that this was like your
She's
first
just training.
table.
Yeah.
Your first table that you've ever had to serve, like at Buffalo Wild Wings. Like that just sucks. And like there was no one else in our whole restaurant at the time. So like literally, like I'm not even kidding. I had to serve this table alone while I was like telling her like what to do because I was training her.
Well, just because the customer's always right.
The customer's always right. You understand
They have
that.
to, you know.
But it was just honestly
stuff.
like she's like, I just don't want you guys hovering around my table. Like I hope you guys understand that. Like and like I was like, okay.
Was this back in like the more COVID times?
No, it honestly was in the last year.
Oh damn.
But it was honestly like funny because we always bring, like me and my coworker always bring that story up, and she still works there to this day. So like it's honestly like on super.
Yeah,
funny.
there's always drama that like everybody in the restaurant knows, especially like in the back kitchen and stuff. The cooks always have some stuff to say. That's for sure.
No, yeah, the cooks are honestly awesome though. I love all my
They're the
coworkers.
backbone.
Honestly.
They're the backbone for sure.
They're actually the best. You guys should come out to Clifton at B-Dubs. Little promo right there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, do you have anything else to add? Any stories?
One of the stories that comes to mind, that was the restaurant I used to work at. They had live music Friday night, Saturday night, and I mean the moms that would come in would have infinite martinis and Cosmos. It was never a good recipe. Live music and hard liquor. And at the restaurant I worked at, there was a men's room, a women's room, and then a family restroom, which was just like changing a baby or anything like that.
For sure.
Separate, one toilet. And there was people in there, a lady waiting to change her toddler. And there was what we thought was just one lady in there for about 45 minutes. Thought that she had fallen asleep in the restroom, the door locked.
Oh.
Come to find out, a middle-aged man and this woman leave the family restroom, and the entire sink is on the floor.
What?
Yeah, so I
That's crazy.
put two and two together.
went
They
a
were
little bit
making,
too
They were
hard.
making a toddler in the family restroom.
That
it seems.
is
That
That
is
is
just
unreal.
wild. Oh my! I mean, there was when I worked at this like more fancy place. It was in Tennessee. You know, nobody knows about it. I would have to go and check the restrooms every 15 minutes, and then like you would have to mark it on some of our like sheets and stuff. I would go down, and there was this one time where I walked in. And this lady, she was just like, she was talking really loud on the phone in the restroom, and she comes out and she just like looks at me, pauses, and then she just like walks out without washing her hands. I checked the restroom, shit on the floor.
Oh yeah.
Just genuinely. I mean, I know that's not the kind of thing you want to hear, but it's just like some people I look at, I'm like, you're not real.
understand it.
You are not real. There's no way.
Oh, I've gotten this shit on the floor bit. I think I told this like 2 episodes ago. There's a guy, he just comes up to me, he's like, hey, I just took a shit in your bathroom on the floor. And I'm like, what? And he's like, you know. And I'm like, what? No, you can't just say that. And so I didn't check because the less I know, the better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe we should move away from the shit talk. In
Maybe.
a food restaurant.
Yes, more
but
food.
For sure.
Any days where you have just like, it's completely packed, super busy, and you're just like, what is going on?
Shit shows.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the restaurant I worked at, like I said, with the live music, Friday and Saturday nights would get hectic every single
Was that
time.
around here in the college
It's
town?
about 20 minutes north, Anderson
Oh, I
Township.
see. Yeah.
And I mean, it was just brutal. They would clear out the tables to make a like dance floor,
Oh.
and it was just. And I know it happens here, having drank here
Mm-hmm.
multiple times. But when it gets busy, people don't think about that the other people are here are working, doing a job, serving a table,
no
drinks
common
or food.
sense. Yeah.
And when it gets narrow between the tables and the bar, and people are just standing, where the servers are screaming, "Hey, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me."
They just forget it's actually a place of work.
Yeah, it gets a little annoying.
That's annoying for sure.
Now, how is dishwashing? Because we haven't.
Horrible.
We've never. Horrible?
Horrible.
I used to
Degrading.
dishwash a
I
little
feel like
bit
no
at
one
the
likes
cafe, and it was
dishwashing.
just
I mean,
it
yeah.
just kept coming, man. It just kept coming. How was that?
It was brutal, especially like I've been saying, Friday, Saturday nights. It's just nonstop, and then as you're going through it, you can't make the dishwasher go faster, and then just pots, pans, plates, forks, knives, everything coming back, packing up. I did have a guy though. Once I moved from dish to pizza, we had a guy that would come in every Friday, Saturday night, put his headphones in, take an Adderall, and he loved washing dishes.
That's
He would,
Man,
and he'd power through it. He loved every minute
the
of
best.
Do
A
what you
little
gotta
bit of
do.
help.
You got to be last for dishwashing, right?
it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. That's like the biggest negative to it.
It's
I
just
mean, I,
awful.
I only did dishwashing for like a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, man.
I mean, there's just so much that goes into any restaurant, especially like just in the back. I swear, it like you never really think about it when you start going to restaurants when you're little and stuff. And I wouldn't just like pay attention, but as soon as you start working, you feel bad for every single restaurant worker.
Who do you think works harder, front house or back house?
Honestly, I think back of house. I mean,
100%.
front
I
house
feel like
serving
everyone would
serving
say
is
that.
hard.
Yeah.
You do have to put on a little mask, but the back kitchen, that's sweaty, hot, expo. You're trying to run a lot of stuff, dishwashing.
What about like a really, really fancy restaurant, front house or back house?
I would still say back house.
Still
I
say
worked
back
at a
house?
really, really
Okay.
fancy restaurant, and I mean, you think about it. The servers at that place, when they were training, they go through like 2 weeks of training, and they have homework. Like they have to learn
Yeah,
like
they
what.
gotta know
like
everything.
we had a big wine cellar too, so they had to learn every single wine that we had, what dish it went well with, what kind of specials we always have, and then like every other day the specials would switch too, and it's just like that's a lot of work. But even though that's a lot of work, the back of the house, they
2 times that, honestly.
still have so
Oh,
much
yeah, I
going
agree.
on. Like it's that's always gonna be my answer for sure.
I don't know. I will say I'm not taking away from back of the house. Obviously, love everybody cooking the food and all that, but I will say that those are everything that happens in the back of the house they can control. They have the ticket that they're going to get. They have the food item. They know how to cook it. Front of the house, it could be something different on a Monday, something different on a Tuesday, and then
True.
something completely out of the ordinary on
Like
a Thursday.
consistency. Right?
I'll agree with
so
that.
I wouldn't say it's one is more difficult than the other. I just think they're both so different, and
Yeah.
they're both equally as challenging and equally as important.
I feel like it's the difference between like hard work with your hands and everything, and then hard work with just like trying to
your
put up
mind.
with
Yeah.
people, you
Your
know,
mind.
Verbal
work.
skills, yeah.
in general.
No, I agree. Well, especially because like I worked at an Italian restaurant, and the back of the house we had a lot of catering because everyone and their mother
to go.
caters
Yeah.
because they have to, and so they like we had these big old pans of lasagna, and the kitchen hated doing it because they're like that takes it like over an hour to make,
Yeah.
and so like anytime we're like we have lasagna, they're like no, don't please.
That was every
That's
time
funny.
when we were making pizzas at Mio's. Anytime you got a mammoth ticket for a mammoth pizza, huge party pizza,
Oh,
you'd
Lord.
have to go into the back. We didn't. Every other pizza, small, medium, large, is like rolled and measured out into a pan in the fridge. Mammoth pizza, you got to go to the back, get the dough, weigh it out, run it through the press,
Oh.
and then flatten it out, roll it, make the pizza, and it was just such a hassle.
Oh, I
Such
bet.
a process.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I mean, I know we've talked a lot about the food part, but the question I have is internal side, on the inside, kind of behind the scenes, you and your coworkers and stuff. Is there any drama that goes on with there? Any really weird coworkers? Any really weird bosses? I mean, not for Mio's. We love Mio's. but I
Mio's is
mean,
wonderful.
outside of that and wherever you guys work.
I would say I just honestly like love all my coworkers and my managers.
That's good.
So I've been working there for like little less than a year, a lot more in the past, but I still work there like here and there. But honestly, really have no complaints from the managers or the coworker side. Just not really. I wouldn't say a complaint from the customer side, but
Right.
like
Well,
it's
I
been-
mean, that's
it's been
always
funny.
how. Yeah,
So,
for
like,
sure.
for example, like the high school that around here. So like sometimes when they
right
get,
on Calhoun, they're always
so,
there.
yeah, so sometimes like some of those, so we're allowed to like not serve like people on 18 or under the age of 18. Like if they're not like accompanied to a parent or a guardian.
Well, yeah, because
So,
I mean,
like-
a lot of the places on Calhoun, they have those signs that's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
no
No
high
high
schoolers from
schoolers.
3
which
to
is
6.
really, really
is
nice,
insane.
honestly,
Yeah.
though. So like a few times a bunch of high schoolers would come in, and, like maybe like 8 of them, they'll all sit to a table and we're just all like, you guys can't, like, we can't serve you, honestly. It's just like,
True. That sucks. But I mean, anything with you, any managers or anything, coworkers?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't sit here and say that I hated any of my coworkers, but I wouldn't say it was all fun and daisies the whole time. I mean, it was just, I personally at Tap House never liked to get involved into any of the behind the scenes politics of
fair.
who's talking to who or who hooked up last weekend, this and that. But I mean, it would definitely hear about it, and I would always listen. I loved hearing about it. I just never wanted to be a part of it. But I mean, there was always a girl from the kitchen talking to a guy in the back, and then something would
Always
happen. It was,
interconnected.
yeah, I mean, that was always a thing.
No, we had one girl have an affair with another coworker's husband, and she basically texted the other girl whose husband she basically stole. Was like, "Hey, I'm with your husband right now on the work app."
Wow.
And so the managers are like, "Hey, you know we can like see the messages on the work app," and so yeah, she got fired for that.
Yeah.
But
Oh man.
kind of crazy.
It's always, it goes deep on the internal side. I feel like there's always either there's like cliques within the coworkers, you know, like these people, it's like morning shift or night shift or something.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean,
100%.
it always just goes deep with the stories and everything.
I would say also like for my coworkers and I, like my favorite thing or like one of them would be like the relationship between the cooks and like everyone else.
Oh, for sure, for
like
sure.
100%. Like it'd be so interesting hearing like what the cooks say to like other servers or like the bartenders or even like our managers, and like it's just so different from front of the house versus back of the house
Oh,
because it's a
true.
totally different world from
Well,
both
because
of
I mean,
them.
with the cooks, you have to be nice to them so they can give you your food on
Or
time
free
and
food
stuff.
sometimes,
But then you go
yeah.
out to your tables and they're like, "How come this is taking so long?" You're like, "Oh man, the kitchen,
no,
Yeah.
they
literally.
suck." Like, I mean, whatever. But then you go back in and you're like, "You guys are so great. Like, thank you for making this on time."
No,
Yeah.
so my whole kitchen at the Italian restaurant was all Spanish speaking, so no English, I said,
Yeah.
I think one guy knew a little bit, but he wanted to like mess with me.
Yeah.
And so he'd be like, I'd be like,
That's
hey,
funny.
can I have the sauce? He'd be like, what? I don't understand what you're saying. And so as a result, I had to like get on my my hands and knees and be like, please, the guest wants extra sauce. And they're like, what? I don't.
Should have learned how to say sauce in Spanish.
Yeah.
No, for
That's
sure.
true.
No Google
You
Translate
gotta
for
learn
you?
up.
Well, I mean, we did. We had some people. They knew what I was saying.
Yeah.
They just acted like,
Oh.
oh, we don't know.
I understand.
So you just had to beg and plea. So
Yeah.
that's good that you
Fair.
guys have a nice relationship. That's nice.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, we're kind of running out of time here for the first segment. Is there
Okay.
anything else that comes to your guys' mind you want to say before we go out for
Any
intermission?
closing thoughts?
I'm
I
like,
don't know. I think you guys covered it.
yeah, I think we're
I
good.
think this is a very interesting podcast. You guys are killing it. Great idea. Coming into a
Yeah.
restaurant, talking about the service industry. That's very cool. Second season, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
second season.
Second
Congratulations.
season, first
Thank you,
live
thank you.
episode.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you guys.
Of course.
Yeah,
Thanks
for
coming.
sure.
That was
Well, thank you to Peyton and Peter,
Yes.
and thanks to Mios for hosting us. We're going to take a brief intermission for about 10 minutes. Hope everyone's still doing great. Get some food, get some drinks, tip your servers. We will see you guys in a little bit.
A little bit. All right.
All right.
Sam.
All right, thank you.